When it comes to EVE Online, every player wants to know the most effective tactic available. You want to know the meta. The meta controls everything. It determines what will and will not happen. Knowing the meta will alter your views, make you question your reality. It might even make you laugh. And now, you're part of it. You're watching The Meta Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Meta Show. I am Brisc Rubal, joined alongside Mark Resurrectus. Today is January the 27th, 2024. Today is the anniversary, the 10th anniversary of one of the most storied battles in the history of EVE Online, BTEC-R 5B. We are live from the memorial in BTEC-R, showing it off to you people. One of the reasons why we're there is because obviously it's the 10th anniversary, but also I hope you guys have, if you've never been out to BTEC-R, if you've never taken the trek out to the Titanomachy or whatever the hell it's called, the Titan Graveyards.
Yes.
It is pretty badass. And for those of us who were in the Clusterfuck Coalition, aka the Imperium, Goonswarm, all of the boys back in the day, well, I wore this shirt because it was a good day that day. BTEC-R. So congratulations to Goons for their 10th anniversary of remembering when we beat the living piss out of PL and Manny and those guys in BTEC-R. But more importantly than that, we actually have a lot of news to talk about today. There's a ton of stuff going on in EVE Online. In the game, out of the game, around the game. And we have a guest with us. So I want to introduce to you all Bear the Cares from Minmatar Fleet Alliance, who is going to talk to us today about faction warfare, about Minmatar's fighting with CVA in Providence, going from faction warfare to nullsec and all that jazz. But I wanted to let Mark say hi before we get into this, because I want to talk about all this stuff.
Thank you.
Hi, Mark.
Thank you. Hello, Brisc. I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling very chill today. I thought I'd change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I had a lot of so people are going to have some questions about this. I know that I did. I feel there's almost like something spiritually wrong with Brisc Rubal in a white jacket. It just doesn't like.
Yeah.
You can imagine sometimes.
What if it was like a tuxedo? Then I would be like an
even worse,
like dinner jacket.
Yeah, I know.
Would that be bad?
It makes me feel like, you know how like sometimes you're having a dream and like you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely real, and then you like kind of look across the way and you see something that's kind of weird and you're like, oh god, it's actually a nightmare. It's how I feel right now. It just doesn't look right to me. It's not.
I know, that's why
okay.
I'm trying to fuck with your head, Mark. That's really what this is.
It's working.
That's what.
And it's even. I don't even know if I don't know if you did something different to your hair too, because it's kind of like it's got like a swoop that maybe isn't quite there.
It's just too long. It's got the swoop because it's too long today. Listen, I had a tie on earlier. Okay, I had a tie on. I had a shirt on, and I put the white jacket on, and I walked downstairs and I showed Mrs. Brisc, and she said, "Take that off." And I was like, "The jacket I like." No, she's like, "No, the jacket looks great. Take off the shirt and the tie."
Listen, man, this is a family show. We can't be talking about your wife asking you to take off clothes on the stream. Come on.
So, hey, there you go. So anyway, that's what we did. Now, moving on. Our top story of the week. We talked about this a little bit last week, and I wanted to get into it today. Thank you, Mrs. Brisc. She says I look hot. She's the only one that matters. Well, her and Sadie. The rest of you guys I don't care about. So thank you. Now, we talked about this last week. If you guys have been paying attention to Reddit, if you've been paying attention just in general in the game, you'll notice that there's not a whole hell of a lot going on other than the typical slap fights between the big guys that we always talk about. Now, Dragon Zero, that thing, we couldn't do a top story of PandaFam Does Inform because that is so common that it's not even news anymore. That's not news.
Jesus Christ.
And we have a story. We'll get into Nullsec Power Hour later to talk about Horde and Gobbins' latest attempts to extort some of the smaller alliances in the Southeast. But before we get there, I want to talk about the only thing that I think has been actually fun,
interesting,
on Reddit and everything, and in the game in the last month or two, and that has been Fleet, Minmatar Fleet, and the fights with CVA, and the fact that finally somebody is putting out some real propaganda that doesn't suck. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time laughing at this stuff. It's amazing. Bear that cares. Thank you for doing this.
We like the game. We like the game.
That's it. And I love it. Not only are you a bear that cares, you're a bear that cares that has a bear on the wall behind him. This is the kind of meta play that I'm all about.
That is actually very good. It's thematically appropriate. Now, Bear, I'm curious, and we're going to lead into this, but I want the people, because there are going to be plenty of people here who, maybe have heard of Minmatar Fleet, or maybe have heard about, your ongoing campaign to make Eve interesting again. But maybe the people don't quite know who you are. So, Bear, what's your story? Where'd you come from? How'd you get started here?
Yeah, so I'm Bear That Cares. Some people call me Mr. That Cares when I get mails in game. So Mr. That Cares to most people in high sec. And
I assume Mr. That Cares is your father.
Yeah, that is. I'm Mr. That Cares the second.
Gotcha. Of course.
But
I'm not his father, by the way. I know you people are acting like he's very young looking, but he is not my kid.
He's just got youthful energy.
I'm a crisp late 20s, but I do have a baby face when I shave. So, started out in low sec, null sec, and was in Slice for a while. Did Try for a bit, then ran Cryptid, which was a wormhole alliance where I met you and the homies in wormhole space. Wormholes got a little stale after all the eviction fun for like 2 years, and I quit.
That was Mark's fault, wasn't it?
It was not my fault.
Mark, why are wormholes stale? Why are guys leaving wormholes for faction warfare?
Listen, this is a long time ago. Okay. He's underselling it. His group, Cryptid Gaming, was one of the premier wormhole PvP alliances of the time, competing alongside Hawks and Cindy and Hole Control and all the other names that were relevant at the time. Maybe not HK, because HK. But no, they were.
We killed HK.
They were legit, man. They were big ballers.
But yeah, after that, quit the game for a little bit because wormholes burned me out because they're pretty tough. And then now I'm back with the Uprising, making faction warfare fun with all the homies. Wormhole Society folks came and we started the Rotini Tribe, the rat game. And,
the rat game, baby.
It's been fun. It's been fun so far.
So tell me about Minmatar Fleet Alliance. How did you guys get started? Were you there from the beginning? And when I'm looking at Dotland and at the group, obviously, you guys are in the Rotini Tribe 317. You got a lot of numbers. One of the most storied groups in all of EVE Online history, right here, Black Omega Security. They've been everywhere. Suaz's old group. They've been everywhere. They've been in PL. They've been in Test. They've been in Circle of Two. They were in Mercenary Coalition. They were in Goons. They've been everywhere. Having them involved is kind of cool. So tell me about Fleet.
Yeah, so Rotini Tribe started out, and we were kind of trying to rebuild Minmatar Militia up a bit, and we joined a couple alliances, and people, they weren't good alliances. So even though I said I'd never run an alliance again, we ended up starting out Minmatar Fleet. I'm the executor, like the main FC, so yeah, I put it together. And Ibn is a good friend from Slice, and he likes the game too, and wanted to come back. So eventually he brought Omega over once he became CEO of Black Omega, and it's been love at first sight. And now we got a couple other cool groups like Balls Deep Inc., who are like Tengu specialists. With nice. the slippery Pete's. But it kind of just formed out of necessity. Most of the alliances in Minmatar Militia just weren't doing it for us, so we bit the bullet.
857 members is pretty solid, I have to say, for
any
group, regardless of whether it's faction warfare. So.
And not to understate it either, you guys effectively immediately turned the tide of the Minmatar Amar Warzone, like almost within just like a month or two, right? Like things have changed pretty dramatically in that space.
Yeah, the map is not looking too great for Amar since we showed up and got a little bit organized, and we've kind of run out of Amar targets, like serious Amar alliances outside of Edict. Those are some homies that are trying to rebuild the Amar militia, but since then we've had to move on to other content and trying to find other fun in the game because faction warfare is kind of at a trough. So to
Oh
speak.
man, it's actually worse than I thought it was. Jesus.
Tiny. There ain't that many of them left
Yeah.
down there
bad.
in the Mar. That's so how did that happen? I mean, what was the issue with Amar? It sounded to me like they just didn't have the kind of momentum that you guys had. Obviously, Cowmill is number one. They have been for a while. But they get accused of being nothing but farmers all the time. And the Cowmill-Galmill thing has been a big fight. But Minmatar, you guys have been focusing on the PvP stuff, it looks like, more to me than any of the PvE stuff. And Amar just kind of fell apart. What happened there? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest crux for Amar was they never got along. Most of the alliances and Amar actually hated each other and kind of just fought. And, as alliances started closing, they kept jumping ship and going 1-to-1. And eventually, if you got a bunch of internal drama and you're facing groups that are beating you, something's going to crack. So
That doesn't
think that's
help.
ultimately what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate fighting next to the guy and we're losing. So yeah, that's not always
Yeah.
the best for morale, let me tell you.
Let me ask you a question too, Beer, because one of the things that is going to stick or has stuck out about your guys' renewed efforts to, not just build up the war zone and the player base there, but also build up your own alliance. The efforts that you guys have put into like branding yourselves. I mean, there's no secret that there is like branding is competitive on its own, right? Like there are groups in this game who have lasted as long as they have because they have just spectacular branding. As something of a branding slut myself, I'm curious to see what your thoughts are. I mean, the Minmatar Fleet logo is dramatic. It's evocative. It's strong. And you've used that same kind of, the same styling for a lot of your other alt logos and the Industrial Alliance and everything like that. What is it in your mind that is so compelling to people about having that kind of unique identity that is so strong?
Yeah, I mean, like to me, I play you for the story. Like the kill modes are cool, but especially after Wormhole Space, this is really the story that groups tell and whatnot. And a story is a lot more fun when you kind of have a brand behind you. So we have a style guide of colors that we use for our logos, and we get in Canva. We have lots of icons, lots of logos, and put a lot of effort into it. Mostly because part of our group is we like people to flex their real life skills so that they can just have fun and do what they enjoy. And we got a lot of graphic designers, a lot of video makers, a lot of software engineers that like to build things. And putting a lot of effort towards a brand is kind of just a fun thing for something you're passionate about.
So you're telling me that there's value in finding smart, intelligent, creative people and putting them in positions where they can be intelligent and creative has value to when building large groups of people. Say it ain't so.
I think it's just fun. I think
Yeah.
it lets everyone express themselves, and we're all here to play the game. So
Hell yeah.
I mean, I have to give you guys credit because I was throwing some stuff on the screen there to show the propaganda that has been coming out of Fleet for the last, I want to say 2 or 3 months, has been off the chain good, like so good. These videos, all the newspapers, all of the different, the various recruiting posters, all that kind of stuff. It's just awesome. You guys are doing a great job. I love that part of the game. Not everybody does. And we were talking before the show about you guys picking on Amar and how they wouldn't. I mean, talk about that a little bit, because that to me is funny. Like when you throw good propaganda up, you're inviting the other side to come back over the top at you. And if they don't, it's kind of sad. And it looks like Amar never did that.
Yeah, I mean, one of our biggest kind of values is Eve's a two-way street. So there's a one side and the other side, and it's only fun if both sides are playing with each other, and it's 50-50 games. So especially from propaganda, if very often we've been the only ones posting propaganda. Luckily, some eating groups are posting good stuff. But there have been cases where we've had to post propaganda against ourselves to kind of stoke the fire. And some of the best Tamar propaganda is actually us.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
That was so fucking funny.
Unbelievable. So, all right. So you guys did faction warfare for a long time. It starts to peter out. Amar is falling apart. They hate each other. They're losing. They don't want to fight you anymore. So what do? What's next?
Yeah, so we muddled this over for a long time, mostly because we're a U.S. time zone group. I'm in the States, obviously, so it was really tough finding a U.S. target in our sphere of influence, mostly because a lot of people know Deepwater Hooligans. We are under the influence, sphere of influence of that group. So most U.S. time zone groups just don't fight them. We're the only ones that kind of will, and but yeah, we had to look for our next target. We've had a lot of fun with CVA. They're enlisted in Amar, that helps our propaganda story. And we can weave a cool story of like, that's enjoyable for both sides from that. And we're also 4 jumps from the war zone. It's going through the high sex a little bit hard, but we can tighten bridge into it. But so CVA was our kind of next natural target, and we declared war on Providence. And it's been fun so far.
Do you have to go through a Mar high sec to get there?
Yeah, it's actually really, really
Bro,
brutal.
listen, okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is compelling. I am so fucking agitated about the Amar gate rats. Like, this has happened to me several times recently, and it's because I took it upon myself. I mean, usually, it's very easy to get around space through wormholes. It's fine. Sometimes you have to leave and you have to travel through, high sec or low sec to get wherever you want to go. No big deal. In Caldari space, Galente space, Mimitar space, it's fine. But Amar gate rats, what the fuck are they doing? They point on the gate. The Caldari rats will web you into warp. That's awesome. Like, thank you, Caldari faction cops, for helping me travel swiftly from one gate to another. But the Amar rats like, no, we're gonna point first. What the fuck is that? Like, why are they the only ones who do that? It doesn't make any sense.
They don't like you in particular, Mark.
It's not just me, Brisc. It's a lot of people. Sorry.
They don't like any of us. They don't like any of our members. And what I don't like is the more people you jump in, the harder it scales. So you eventually just can't fight the rats. You can't use the drone trick at our size, and it's really, really brutal. Hopefully CCP change it, fix it. It's killing content.
We're gonna talk about that shit. It pisses me off so much, man. Like, I nearly fed half of my own Lashaks the other day because I jumped in and half of them were fucking below 2.0, and the Amara rats are like, no, stay right here. I
fed an entire Sleipnir fleet. We were coming back from Pravi. They were red. I thought they were Amar, and we were like, kill them because they're gonna tackle us. Turns out they were just red, concorded. The whole Sleipnir fleet just lanced.
Yeah, not great, not ideal.
Mark, when I was on the CSM and we were having trouble with the constant gate rats that were messing with everything, I successfully lobbied CCP to get rid of those gate rats. What are you doing about it?
Listen, I am not.
I'm just saying.
I'm not officially a representative of LowSec, although I have been happy and willing to voice their concerns in this area, and maybe I need to do that. But I didn't really realize it was...
Stop it. Stop with this bullshit, okay?
I didn't realize
I'm going to lecture you now. I'm going to lecture you now.
Me.
You just invited a Brisc lecture. You're going to pretend this is Rampage Incorporated. I'm going to yell at you. Listen,
help me.
You don't represent just the fucking wormholes. You represent the whole goddamn game. So that's who votes for you. You got people that vote for you that weren't in wormholes. You don't have to just be the damn wormhole CSM.
Correction, I had Sedition vote for me, and those
you had more than that.
Ballers.
There were other people. You don't even know who voted for your ass. I even voted for your ass. Do you even like this game, Mark?
Huh?
How dare you?
I like the free trip to Iceland. What?
How dare you?
Oh, okay.
Unbelievable.
Fucking wild.
Mark did get us more office slots in the stations. I remember bitching about that.
Yes, I did that, and I did something for Tamoxa one time too. I can't remember what it was, but listen, we do work. We try and
Okay,
we try
all
and
right,
help
listen.
things. Okay.
If you don't like the gate rats, you have every tool available to get them to fix it.
Yeah, we'll work.
I
on
know because I did.
I do wonder if it's like if it's a specific design thing or if it's just an oversight. Like, I don't know why it's just the MR rats that point on gates and they don't web first.
This sounds like something Aurora could probably tell you, or
Do
maybe
they not have webs in
Kestrel.
the MR faction? Like, have they not discovered that tech yet? I mean, it's
They don't want to web
effective.
you into warp. They're smarter than the Caldari guys.
Yeah.
They want to keep you on grid so they can shoot you.
Well, hang on. I don't know about
Not
that.
enough mid slots. Not enough mid slots.
Honestly,
That's
that might be
exactly what
true.
it is.
That may be true.
That's
so
exactly
funny.
what it is, right?
Yeah.
So
all right, fair enough.
So Bear, I have to notice when I was looking at the kill board, you guys have been running ENIs quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
This has just been like a thing. When did they become so fucking good?
They're
like,
so
why
good.
is that now? That I
They
can't
were
believe that the
so
meta has
bad.
shifted. Yeah, for the longest time, they were Logi ships. That's all you used them for. When did the ENI get to be so good?
I think with just uprising, you know, it's the ENI's time to shine. Nothing else get to shine. Osprey Navy is still pretty good, but everything kind of does need a little pass on the Navy cruiser. I like the ENI. No, it's really fun. It fights really well in the battle cruisers. It's great, but it's really spammy for sure. That's kind of just what
It has
think now.
become the new Munin, unfortunately. But hey, you know, at the end of the day, it's a different ship. I don't mind it when we get new ships in the meta that are fun to try out. Because, I mean, sure, in a couple months, everybody's going to be bored. Oh, I'm so tired of flying these. But at least for me, I like it. It's kind of cool. But I did notice that you guys were using them. And I'm just excited because when we do defense fleets in Delve, almost invariably, if the fleet has more than 10 people in it coming to us, it's an ENI fleet. Like, that's just how it is. So, anyway. So you started the fight.
Oh,
Go ahead. No, keep going. You go ahead.
I was gonna say we started loading antimatter and just ramming.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm fucking talking about, bro.
Go.
Just
like
brawl,
it.
baby. Just
I
brawl.
wish alligators were the new meta. That would be fun. I want to bring my camouflage Drake. Now, one of the things I saw that you guys have been criticized for is feeding caps a lot. I'm excited by the fact that what I would argue
someone
would be
has
like
the cojones.
well,
to drop
a medium-sized alliance is willing to drop
the
caps on
nuts.
Deepwater Hooligans and Snuffed Out. Like that's
You're goddamn right.
That's pretty badass. Like
Yeah, it is.
you guys are really taking it. I appreciate that. Can you talk a little bit about
Hey, the question
caps?
he's trying to ask, Bear, is how do you walk down the street with nuts
right with
that
balls
big?
that big? Right.
Yeah, that's what I want to. That's what I want to know. Yeah,
So-
the cajones. How do you manage?
Cojones.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I mean the thing about building a capital fleet at our size is you have to use the capitals. Unfortunately, there are a few targets that we can let them rip to, and those just happen to be like stuff in Big AV. So if you want to always win cap fights, you have to join those groups. But we had to fill some kind of niche so that we can start getting our capital group up and you know, our focus is just, all right, you're joining the cap group. Here's how you make the ISK. Let's just fucking let it rip every time.
Let's go, dude.
And they don't stop. Like, I'll be like, all right, guys, I've had enough. Let's stand down there like 30 dreads X up. It's like, please stop.
I was going to ask too, you know, this is, and it's not really the elephant in the room because it's kind of what is understood about that space, but being in the Minmatar war zone, being in Minmatar space, being so close to Turner, inevitably the question becomes groups that are the size of Big Ab, is that healthy for the game? Is that, you know, oppressive for the game? I'm sure the good people of Big Ab probably have their own very strong opinion about this. But I mean, it's just like any smaller group that works in and around larger groups. Do you feel like the game is currently set up in such a way that the mechanics allow for groups to operate around bigger groups? Or do you feel like it is you're under constant pressure to be at your absolute peak or feed immensely the moment those groups get involved?
Yeah, I mean, like we trade pretty decently against them sometimes. The most notable BR I think was like 30 bill to 70 bill, and we're a lot more I'd say active day to day than a lot of those groups because you know they ping, bringing the dreads. So we have the IS to burn, mostly through plexing and playing the game. But you know, groups that size are always going to form. It gives a group like us a target long term to what we can eventually grow up and fight. Through our we run like content servers just to make sure what we're doing is what our people want.
Sure.
And by far the most enjoyable thing people have is fighting up against like Big AB and groups like this, even if we're not winning, because
Hell yeah,
no one else is doing it.
Yeah. One more question. Speaking of having the money to burn, let's talk very briefly, Bear, about LP trading and the fact that it currently does not exist. What is
we
your
mentioned this last time
as a content creator, as an executor, as an FC in LoSec? How has your day-to-day been affected by the fact that CCP so brazenly stripped us of the ability to trade LP between players and organizations?
I don't do any of that because we have a conversion team for that. Shout out to Eric.
Hell yeah. Okay.
I know his job has gotten way harder. But he took the opportunity to go pitch on that Oz Shark Tank thing and get like a huge liquid and build a big LP buyback program. And you know, tons of people are now converting LP, but I know direct transfers are helpful, I guess. But I definitely don't interact with a lot of that anymore because it's too much. It's like
full disclosure. Yeah. Full disclosure. Well, I wanted to set Puke off in Twitch chat, which has worked.
But Puke is 100% correct, and this is why I get frustrated. Like, and man, I'll rant on his behalf. This was supposed to be temporary. It's been a fucking month.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a month. CCP says it's temporary. The reason why we can't do it is because, you know, we want to be able to track this. We're going to shut it off for a little while, then we'll give it back. It's been a month.
Yeah.
We know how much these groups are generating now without trading. We know that. It's been a month. They've got the data. And the impact is not just on faction warfare, it's on everybody. Everybody uses LP trading. And not only that, when they're trying to get us to use these damn Evermarks to go out and to skin up all of these ships that they're going to be putting out soon, get the Evermarks to skin up all of these structures. We can't trade Evermarks between groups now. So how the hell are we supposed to do that? It doesn't make any sense. This was temporary. That means it stops at some point. It's been a month. Fix this shit.
Makes an important point in chat. Nothing lasts longer than a temporary fix from CCP.
That is 100% correct.
That's some real shit, man.
Right. Just say, look, we're working on it. It'll be done when? In a month, in 2 months, in 3 months? Listen, I know it was December. I know they just launched the expansion. Everybody goes on vacation, and CCP is the greatest company in the world. You get 12 holidays a year, and each holiday you get a month off. Okay. We know how they are. We know how they are. All right. But it's January now. It's almost February. Next week will be February. It's been a month. Let's get it done. Turn the shit back on, please.
Or just say something. Just say something.
Or just mention it. Just say, oh, yeah, by the way, I remember, we told you it was temporary. We're turning the stuff off. Now, if my dear friend Isabella is watching this, she would be the quickest and first to remind me that 7 years ago, I believe it was, maybe it was 6 years ago, they said they changed ECM completely and made it so that you could target back whoever is ECM jamming you, and said, we're going to do a balance pass on these ships soon, and they haven't done it yet. So 6 years is, 5-6 years, it could be a while, but I'm telling you, this is kind of game breaking. They need to get this done. I think there's a lot of wealth generation that's being hung up, and if they have a problem with the amount of LP that's being created, then okay, you can always tweak it. That's the whole point of doing the things that you do. You create these faucets and sinks. You can create new faucets and sinks. It's not that hard. Right. 5 years to get LP taxes and transfers. Tons of content. And now, we got to wait till they turn it back on. Not okay. All right. So back to Providence. Bear. Have the Provi guys used any caps against you, or are they just using battleship stuff? Like what does Providence look like right now? Is it just CVA? Have you guys decided, are you going to move there? What's the state of the war as it stands right now? Because it seems like it's starting to get a little heated. I had your post up here I was looking through that you put up a couple days ago that was talking about just an update on the war and how they used to be saying nice things about you guys, but they only say nice things about the other side when you're beating them. And now they're not saying nice things about you anymore. So that's a good sign. So what's happening? I mean, what's your end goal here besides content? I mean, obviously the content's the thing, but how do you expect, or how do you plan on keeping this fresh?
Yeah, so we've been fighting out pretty hard, outnumbered since day one. The way that we were doing that at the start was to utilize like faxes and some hod dreads and caps. They started using caps, and also snuff is now in range, and snuff will help them out, which has hampered our ability to kind of use caps. So in the post I think you're referencing, we've had to kind of shift our strategy to very attrition based, good fights. Let's like how we fight on outnumbers and skirmish with these like faction cruisers, faction battle cruisers, and so far it's been kind of pretty good. Long term, this is very much this is the closest target, and this is how we grow, right? We fight a target that's bigger than us, we recruit more, we train our guys to fight better, and that's our purpose for existing as an alliance. Otherwise we die. So eventually I'm sure we're going to outgrow them. We get like 60 apps a month. So eventually it's going to outpace it, and we will win. And then we'll have to find a new target, I guess. And ideally, I don't know if you saw the scrotum drawing, but we want the Pravi scrotum.
I did see that. I had it somewhere, but
That's
I don't know
so
if
good.
I left it.
You,
I mean,
I'm curious too, because you mentioned how, activity causes you to, activity influences, which is true for everybody. Activity influences recruiting. Do you feel like you are recruiting now at a higher level than you have been over the last couple months, or do you feel like things have started to kind of even out?
well, we've always kind of done really big pushes. Like the propaganda is not for brainwashing, it's definitely for recruitment. Every time we post propaganda, we get people to join our Discord. People like us a little bit more, so it's very much a recruitment strategy and a brand.
That's why I'm on this show, so I totally understand. Yeah.
Right. How's that worked out for you though, Mark? You got, I mean, I guess you got Mifune, so you got one.
My boy, my son.
You got one.
Anyway.
But yeah, got to grow or die, and it would kind of just be a disservice to all the folks flying in fleet if we just got lazy and died.
Right on.
So, all right. So I was looking at this in particular, this propaganda piece that you guys did, the 20 days in with your contract sold and how many you've killed and how many of your friends have killed and all this other kind of stuff. That kind of pissed them off a little bit. And they came back over the top at you guys and said, oh, you're lying. They're lying about it. Look at this. Look what we're lying. Look at this is the real numbers. Well, if this would zoom in a little bit, there you go. The real numbers, they didn't get nearly as, we're almost exactly the same. They didn't get nearly as many. What do you guys have to say to that?
I mean, I'm happy to do better queries. I usually do these like 30 minutes before work, so they're not 100% accurate, but it's as accurate as I can try to get. That also was a breakdown of like all of Providence. So I think they just like pulled our alliance or something. They're like, oh, grr, please.
Just you two to heads up instead of everything, right? So is CVA doing what they normally do with Providence? Do they have all of their friends? Are they bad-phoning all of their friends to come help you fight against you guys?
Yeah, we're fighting like RMC, Absolute Order, some high sick people and all that. So, and stuff.
And stuff.
But a lot of alliances have been coming to deploy and get content though, which is kind of also why we're pushing a lot of propaganda, because it shows how much content there is, and eventually people will come bite and raid.
So I liked this. So they came up with this one. You guys had done this piece of propaganda. Where is it? This one where after 15 years, I finally found the scroll of truth. Snuff pets aren't real alliances. And then, like Snuff's in the background saying, no, I think you're real. Just keep farming this. And they got upset. So then they respond with their version of it, which I thought was cute, which was, being a Chad in faction warfare means shit and null. At least they acknowledged that you guys are Chads in faction
Just
warfare.
to set the
kinda
record straight, they did post theirs first, and
cool. Oh,
I
was there
saw it
first?
on Data
Okay, all
Play.
right. So it was the other way around. All right, got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
and where it's
Okay.
like, oh, to me, I always like going to Reddit and I'll see like one meme and then kind of like a back-to-back meme, and I thought it would just be better if they were right under each other or something.
yeah.
So we made that one.
I like that. Very good. I have to say, they did this. This was a piece of CVA propaganda that I saw. And if there was ever a situation where like I was like, man, I kind of like CVA, I kind of like Fleet. Who do I want to win this? This
They
one
misspelled
definitely
enroll.
made me want to go with you guys because they fucking spelled enroll wrong.
Is that a joke?
Hello. No.
It's gotta be a joke, right?
I mean, I hope it's a joke, but it's
No.
like, come
I don't
on.
know.
It's a weird joke.
They've been
That's
putting
it.
less and less effort in, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we're wearing them down.
It's just so bad. I'm just saying. Anyway, so at the end of the day, yeah, because of this piece of propaganda, I'm 100% in on Fleet's side for this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank you,
because of
thank
that.
you, thank you.
Anyway, so there you
Naturally.
go. All right. So I'm happy. I mean, it makes me feel like, you know, the game is in a pretty good place when we've got, not only do we have, you know, a lot of, oh, I forgot. Before I even start doing my wrapping up thing, I got to give them credit. This was my favorite piece of propaganda that these guys did. They did a Fleet to English translation,
This one was very good.
which I thought was
really
great. And
good.
the main reason
Yeah.
I liked it was they used like Excel, like a spreadsheet. It's like a spreadsheet in Reddit.
I know.
We need more of this.
That's next level, man.
This is a legit. Yeah, and I think one of my comments, right? We need more propaganda that uses tables. Was me, and I was very excited that they actually did this. This is very good. So I will link it. Yeah, here's the link.
Yeah, that one ended up going crazy, like tons of comments and people going crazy. And then I guess the
It was fun.
propaganda got saltier, but who knows?
It never stops. It never stops. So what I'd like to say is I love the fact that you guys started out in faction warfare. You ran that, and sounds to me like a lot of the things that I've heard in terms of complaints, that's not a word, Battle Angel, is that it's very hard to be a mid-sized alliance anymore in EVE, especially in nullsec. That you have to do a lot of work, and you're always going to get pushed around by the big guys, and it causes to be a problem. But you guys basically said, that's bullshit. We love the game. I mean, your tagline is, we like the game. That kind of optimistic attitude, to me, is great, because God knows we don't hear that a lot in Null. Most of it's like, man, we fucking hate this game, but we can't stop playing it. But you guys, all right.
I mean, I'll tell you, the thing that's, I think, the most exciting is that you guys were not willing to just rest on your laurels, right? Like, clearly having a lot of success in the war zone was great for your group, for your guys, you know, very, you know, a lot of fun. But it would be very easy, I think, for a lesser group to get to that point and be like, all right, cool. We've reached the, you know, the peak of shit mountain, and now we're done. You know, there's nothing else for us to do. So then going ahead and saying, well, what is the next thing? Like, what can we do now? And then doing that thing is such a gangster move. So that's very cool.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to move now into the NullSec Power Hour. I want to talk about this stuff because, well, you know, you know what? Let's do this real quick. No, I'm going to do NullSec first, then we'll end the show with the CCP stuff. There was a little bit of a dust up between Asher and Gobbins, although Gobbins never actually responds himself. He only responds through his sycophants like Sandrin. But I want to talk a little bit about what happened in regards to the Southeast Agreement here. So we're going to hit the button and go into NullSec Power Hour. So Asher put this post up like yesterday, and it stayed at the top for quite a long time, generated a ton of comments, almost 500 comments from people.
Mm-hmm. Fair, just so
and
you know,
essentially,
ahead of time. This is I usually put a podcast on during this part, so if you want to,
yeah, that's it. You can put something else, but this is good. This is good. This is interesting. Okay. So Asher points out here that over the last couple of weeks, he's been approached by a number of the groups in the Southeast Agreement that they have been approached by Gobbins. And what has Gobbins said? Gobbins has said, essentially, that we'll let you keep your space if you're never friends with goons, never blew any Imperium groups, and you let Horde put an Ansiblech jump gate network through your space. Now, how do we know that this? So today, the latest argument from Horde is that this never actually happened. Asher's just making this up. But the only reason we knew that this was a thing was because the groups that Gobbins was trying to extort came to us and asked us, hey, do you guys have a counteroffer? And I appreciate the fact that what Asher told them, and it's on the screen and I'll read it, is he doesn't believe in a nullsec, bipolar nullsec. He doesn't think there should only be 2 powers, and there's plenty of space in nullsec for the other groups. So if they need to bend the knee to survive, go ahead, but we're not interested in playing this game where everybody has to either be in the Imperium or in PandaFam or essentially in the sphere of influence of those 2 groups. You know, you don't have to be in NATO. You don't have to be in the Warsaw Pact. You can do your own thing. And that's kind of what our goal is and what we would like to see. The whole reason for doing the Southeast Agreement was so that we could get these middle and small sized alliances, groups like Fleet and others, leave them the fuck alone. We got no problems with these guys. They're doing their thing. So why does Gobbins feel the need to have to make everything into this big bipolar thing? I don't understand it. But I love the fact that today that in response to this, the argument is, so which Southeast alliances did Gobbins gang press into Ansiblech's access? And he said, well, not any of those groups that are bordering Horde. They're essentially trying to argue that this never actually happened. That to me is absolutely hilarious. Now, could we say who came and talked to us? Sure. But why would we do that? Because Asher, I mean, I got to give Asher credit. He puts this post up basically saying it to everybody, saying, look, we're not doing this. But I can guarantee you that the minute that this post went up, every group that Gobbins talked to, he went back to and said, I know you sold me out to Asher. So we're not going to be able to tell you who came and asked us stuff because we don't want to put those groups in a worse position than they already are in. We're not asking Horde to attack those guys. We just want them left alone. And that's what we're going to do. Leave them alone. And I love the fact that Asher points this out because this is exactly what I was noting last week on the show. He says, if PanFam wants to control the entire map, I wish them good luck. We tried it a long time ago. It was very unfun. It's also bad for the game. You can live in a handful of regions. You can have very dense space and still do quite well. Since Horde usually is just goons minus 5 years of growth, I'm hopeful those guys will realize it sometime around 2029. That's entirely correct because every group that has tried to take over the entire map, whether it was us, whether it was Bob, whether if Gobbins comes out next week and announces a new Viceroy program, I think we're all going to laugh. The bottom line is it doesn't work. Why? Because this game is too big and you will burn your people out if you have a ton of space that no one gives a shit about that you have to go and defend. People are going to look around and be like, why are we defending this space? It's stupid. Nobody gives a shit. And then what happens? Well, what happens if they actually manage to win? What happens if we roll over and we're like, we don't care about it anymore. You guys can take over the whole server. Then what? Then you've got Serenity. Does anybody want that? I don't want that.
Well, I'll tell you, Brisc, looking at this situation, it really does seem like there's one very simple, very
don't you fucking say it.
Very easy solution to this problem that would resolve all of your issues for everyone from both sides. And that would be nerf Ansiblexes.
You said it.
I mean, if the problem is that Horde is trying to leverage these guys so they can run highways through their space, just break up the highways.
They don't need the high. That's the whole thing to me. The Ansiblex part of it is secondary. It's the whole. You can never blue any Imperium related group and you can never be nice to them and you can never ask them for help ever, ever, ever. That's the thing that I think is weird, because at the end of the day, it's like Gobbins not only wants to tell them that what space they can own, he wants to tell them what they can do in their space. He wants to tell them what they can't do in their space, who they can be friends with, who they can't be friends with. Gobbins is the worst boyfriend on the planet. Okay? He's the one your parents tell you not to date.
Hey, Twitch chat, I need you desperately to find a new joke. It's. Why
do you think they're kidding, Mark? Why do you think they're kidding?
It was so predictable. I could have written it down. I could have said, when I came forth from the womb, Brisc, I could have said, I'm going to make this joke about nerfing Ansiblexes, and every single person in Twitch chat is going to say the exact same thing, because they have they are a hive mind that is incapable of using
it's not a hive mind thing. It's simply the obvious response to somebody saying something that's completely idiotic is to say something idiotic in return. So there
listen.
That's it. I'm just saying.
Listen, do you feel like it should be okay for Horde or anybody to run a superhighway through space they don't have any kind of affiliation with? Free and clear, just run their Ansiblexes out to the far corners of the map, as long as they can get people to leverage all that space that they're not in right now. They're not doing anything. In fact, other people live there. Yeah. Does that feel okay to you? That they can just say...
it doesn't. But that is not a game mechanics issue. That is a Gobbins issue.
Is it?
That's
Gobbins
a good question. Let's make Bear talk about this. I want to. Bear, what do you think about Ansiblexes?
I promise him.
You guys don't have them, so you don't have to worry about.
Oh no.
We have recently learned that if you reinforce an Ansiblex, they can't use it. That's about all we know so far. So far, they're not too bad. You just reinforce them; they don't do anything.
There you go. Hey, how about that? How about that? How about that?
I just think that, while I agree that this idea, I don't listen. I'm not going to pretend like I know the truth of this story. I don't know if Gobbins is actually holding these groups over a barrel. I don't know if any of these groups actually came to talk to Asher. I don't know. None of that really makes.
But to that point, let me just say this real quick, and then we'll go into this, because I wanted to highlight this.
Okay, go ahead.
For the people who are arguing or claiming that this never happened, that Asher's just making it up, why would he do that? We can make fun of Horde as much as we want. We don't need to make things up about them. The whole idea that our leadership, that folks on the Imperium lie to their members, we don't do that. That's what they do. We don't need to do that. We tell folks the truth. And the idea that Gobbins would never extort anybody, he did it to Brave. We had Jinx on the show. We talked about it directly with him, that Horde was given the exact same line that they gave to the Southeast Agreement, giving them to B2 and Volta and those guys. We'll let you stay in your space. We'll tell Fraternity to back off. We'll stop fighting. We'll pull back being Foreign Legion. But you have to never be friends with the Imperium, never ask them for help, and let us run an Ansiblex route through your space. They did the same thing to Brave. So it's not like this is something new that we've never heard Gobbins say before.
Sure. I don't think...
I'm just saying.
I understand. I am not of the opinion that Asher is a liar. I've not gotten... I mean, I've only spoken to him a handful of times.
He doesn't.
I have not gotten the impression that he's a liar.
He's a goody two-shoes. He's too nice. Asher's too nice. He's the nicest guy in EVE.
He's very nice. He's a nice guy. He's very friendly. Has good taste in meta show co-hosts. However, and I'm not just saying this because I want to continue to have this job, so that I don't ever have to do any other recruiting ever. But I don't think that the issue is just, I mean, it's like saying, the argument between these two and whether or not it's true, whether or not it's false, it doesn't really matter. The problem is what Gobbins is saying is, or in theory is threatening to leverage, is something that is just, it's so outlandish as to be almost unthinkable. He's talking about putting an 8-lane highway through the middle of space where none of his members live or interact or anything. You're talking about putting jump bridges to the far corners of the Southeast, space that his members will never go to unless goons are there for whatever reason.
Right.
So what's the do we is
We
it
know
okay?
what the point. I mean, if you're going to say what the point is obvious. They want to be able to get
I
big
understand what
fleets
the point
around
is.
to hit us faster.
I understand what the point, and I agree.
That's
That's pretty fucked up, right? I mean, we can agree that's pretty fucked up.
I don't think it's fucked up. I think it's the way the game is. They're just utilizing the nature. I mean, this is in the game, so why would they not try to do
of
this?
the mechanics of the game to do a
But
thing
this
that
is-
they probably
well, yeah,
shouldn't
the
be
whole
able to do?
Listen, regardless of whether you want to have a conversation of the morality around the use of Ansiblex jump gates, the reality is they're in the game. This is how they work. I can't hold
You're
it
right.
against him
this is
to
how
be
they
trying
work.
to use that. At the same
agree.
time, I'm not going to suggest just because he's trying to use these to get to our space that we should nerf them. That's bullshit.
Okay.
He's playing the game the way that CCP designed it.
That is true.
That's
he
on
is
him.
playing the game.
Blame
the way
him for
CCP
it,
designed
not the gates and not CCP. I'm just saying.
Okay.
And
Very
yes,
good.
we can just shoot the Ansiblex.
I love
All
that
right.
hat, man. That's
Now-
pretty good.
That is a solid hat. I
Pretty good
appreciate
hat.
it. Very good watch.
Thanks. It's getting a little cold. It's darker.
I get that.
See, I'm wearing this
I don't know
because
why
it was
they
80
don't-
degrees here yesterday, and I'm like, it's January, it's 80 degrees. I had a top down on the car. I'm like, maybe we're in Miami. I don't know. Maybe it just happened.
It is hot here too, so I trust me, I get it.
Anyway. All right.
We're
Almost at the end of the show. There was two things that I wanted to talk about. The first thing is CCP has announced, or at least they are in the process of announcing, this new Eve War for New Eden board game adaptation of the Eve MMO. Now, this is a Kickstarter project. They have already managed to get $366,000 pledged of a $45,000 goal.
Pretty good.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I have not backed this yet because Mrs. Brisc says I'm not allowed to spend any money right now, so maybe we'll do it later. But
Oh my god.
this is kind of cool that this is in the process.
Yeah, I mean, if you scroll down on this page, some of the sets that they're putting together for this, I've heard this described as what's that? There's another game that people say it's like, and I think they're just saying it's because it's a hex board game with sci-fi elements. I cannot remember for the life of me what it's called. It's not one that I have played myself, but I mean, some of these sets look really cool. I mean, they have, it is expensive, but yeah, Twilight Imperium, that's the one. Thank you. It is expensive for sure, but they also have, if you go to the very bottom, they have, I don't know if it's the very bottom or not too far down, but they have some videos of reviews from people who have actually seen the game and seen how the game plays. And like, it feels kind of interesting. Like I should be clear. I'm not big into board games myself. I've got the patience of a goldfish. So this is like, it's great when I have other people who can set them up and tear them down for me. The playing is fine. It's everything else in between that I can't, or everything else before and after I can't stand. But is this the kind of thing, like, and look, all these different, all the different add-ons you can add to it, all the different like cool stuff that they can, all these different stretch goals, like this is all very, like, it just feels good. It doesn't feel like just some cheap, easy cash grab. Now, granted, it's still an expensive game. Like, I don't want to pretend like it's not. Like
It's $100, and that, I mean, and that's obviously, welcome
but
to
it's a nice.
2024.
It'd be a nice thing to
It's not-
have. Like if you like Eve, this is a nice thing to have. You know what I mean? What I really hope this does is inspire CCP to finally, please God, see the light of making miniatures free, like not freely available, but more available than they ever have been. High quality miniatures. Titan Forge does this all the time. Make high quality ship miniatures that people can just have around, and they don't have to go through a million hoops or talk to some, rando on Etsy to get them done. Like everybody who I've talked to about this says, yeah, the game looks fine, but man, I would love to have some minis like that. CCP, make some money. Do yourselves a favor. My God.
What else? This is the standard thing we've been telling them forever.
Yeah, I know.
One more thing. The other additional thing, for those of you who have been Keeping an eye on this. Vanguard. There is a second playtest happening right now for Vanguard. If you have not had a chance to jump in and check it out, do that. They made a bunch of changes, I understand, to the UI, changes to the way the game plays a little bit that hopefully will make folks a little happier about what they're seeing in the game. Obviously, this is still an alpha, very early alpha, early access alpha, so check it out. I have not had a chance to do that. I got to go and grab this because I want these skins. I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but I definitely want to get them. So hopefully you will join me in checking this stuff out. Now,
yeah, I've heard that moving around the map it feels much better than it did during the last playtest. So that's good.
Very good. Now, next week, we are off next week. Why are we off next week, Brisc? Well, there's one major reason why we're off, because Mr. Mark Resurrectus, our man on the spot, will be in Iceland for the CSM Summit. So we're going to take next week off. I've got some real life work I've got to do, and we're going to come back the week after with our normal annual post CSM Summit episode.
I will still be in Iceland that day, by the way.
What the hell? Why?
It's 2 Saturdays. We leave the
you guys aren't coming back yet? You son of a bitch.
We leave Friday. We're there the next Saturday because it's the day we get there.
Right.
We're there for a full week, and then we leave on Sunday.
What's the
well,
one thing?
Well, then you guys will have to do it live from there.
What's the one thing I'm going to tell CCP? Jesus.
Come on,
yeah,
Mark. Come on, Mark. Come on. One thing. We talked about it here. What's the one thing?
What are you going to talk about?
Is it LP trading, or is it?
There you go.
Yes.
LP trading. Look at that.
LP trading. Listen, I want you. Listen, all my null babies, my sweet little goons, my sweet darling little babies. I want you to know, I don't actually give a shit about ansiplexes. I know you honestly don't. They affect me zero amount personally. There are people with way more experience and knowledge than I have who can go on and on about those things, and believe me, they do. Your representatives are representing you, I promise. However, this show works a lot better as an entertainment program when it's not just somebody here filleting Brisc for like an hour. So this is
better
for
check
you.
yourself before you wreck yourself.
I
sir.
do this for you. But moreover, like, the LP trading thing is dumb, and we need to get that addressed. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about while we're there, among other things.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to that. Maybe we'll talk about it when this is going down. Next week, I think, obviously, Saturday is not going to work because you guys are going to be starting into Summit and you're going to be hanging out. Maybe next Saturday we can get everybody together like we did last year and do the show from the offices. Check that out. Ask the guys if they want to do that. That would be fun.
Hell yeah.
In other words, last thing before we get out of here, tonight at 9 p.m. here on INN, King Wolf is going to be streaming. They're going to be playing a new game, and they're going to be giving away a Logitech giveaway. So please tune in tonight to watch King Wolf and the boys stream, 9 p.m. Eastern Freedom Time. That is I think midnight Eve time, if I am not
0200 Eve time.
Is it 0200? 0200 Eve time. There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Meta Show for January the 27th, 2024, the 10th anniversary of the Battle of BTEC-R, one of the biggest fights in the history of EVE Online. 10 years it's been. I want to thank Mark Resurrectus, as always, for joining us, and Bear the Cares from Mimitar Fleet Alliance. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Keep up the good work. We want to hear all about more fun stuff that's happening in Providence over the next couple of months. I'm Brisc Rubal. This has been the Meta Show. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and you stay classy, New Eden.